I just want to share with you just a very brief message from this morning. Well, the minister this morning. 2 Corinthians 9, chapter 8. It says, and God is able to make all sufficiency, all grace abound towards you, that you have sufficiency in all things, and have an abundance to every or for every good work. What does that mean, family? That means that when you are in the grip of grace, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how bad you are, no matter what sins you committed, no matter how high or how low you are, when you're in the grip of his grace, he said, I will make all grace abound towards you. And the first part of that scripture, Paul says, God is able. So while you're wondering to yourself, how the heck am I going to get out of this mess? How my finances going to change? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Paul says, first, know this, that God is able. He says, God has all strength, all power. He possesses everything in him to bring about what you need and even what you desire. God is able. Somebody say, God is able.
God is able.
Second part of that scripture, he says, to make all grace abound towards you. Grace for what? Grace for everything in your life. Grace of patience, grace of peace, grace of deliverance, grace of restoration, a divine unmerited favor for anything that you need in your life. For the bad time, for the good time, for the low, for the high. Now listen. That you, say me.
Me.
Always having all sufficiency in all things. Sufficiency means complete, not needing the aid or the support of anyone. So God said, listen, this is what God says. I am able to give you all grace or unmerited favor, something that you do not deserve. I have the power to give you favor or blessing that you did not deserve, that you will not need the support of no one else. Wow. Which implied in that family is that you have to depend totally on God. Because first he said, God is able. Not you are able.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's not about what you can do. It's what God can do. And it's what he's doing. So I asked the question, God, how long will I have this grace? How long will I have this sufficiency? What does the text says? Always. Every minute, every day, every hour, every minute, every second. He is able to make all grace abound in abundance, overflowing to you. That you may have an abundance, an exceedingly great measure of his grace for every good work. This is the key, family. That as long as you're doing a good work, the power of God will always give you everything you need, that you will need no support from no one else. How many of you like to drop the credit and say, I can do this on my own? How many of you like to say, look, now I'm going to lend you money. I'm a lender and not a borrower. How many of you like to go on the car dealership this Monday and drop $30,000 on the vehicle and say, I'll pay the rest next Friday?
All right.
How many of you want to say, look, you know what? We're outgrowing this house. We need something better. But see, in the midst of that family, is that you're doing a good work. Last thing I'll leave you with. Say the scripture often. Ephesians 2:10. You have been created as his workmanship for a good work. As long as you're doing a good work, you can hold on to this promise that God is able, and that you will have a sufficiency, a no need of support in everything in your life, and that you will have an overflow, exceedingly measure of his grace to perform that which he has called you to do. He who began a good work in you is able to complete it until he calls you on, or until Jesus returns.